Good morning all and welcome to this reading. I'm gonna warn you straight off that this might seem a little bit all over the place. The messages that came through did appear to be quite random and not in any particular order, but I'm sure that as I work my way through them, we'll be able to sort of link things back to each other and that things might resonate with you in the order that I'm telling it as well. I'll start just by telling you how the messages come through to me. So they often come through like snippets of conversation, but they'll be only the bit that's relevant to what I need. Other times it's very particular words or phrases, and then sometimes there's images that come through as well, and sometimes there is an associated message or word or phrase that comes with that as well. So we'll start working our way through. With all of my readings, take whatever resonates, and if it doesn't resonate with you, then you know in yourself what is right for you, if that makes sense. So what I always think it's good to do is to have a bit of paper and a pen with you, a journal of some kind of notebook, and make a note of the things that do resonate, and then also of the things that don't resonate, because they are the things where you know that you need to take action, or one way or another, depending on how something's made you feel. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, if somebody else can try and explain that in the comments, that would be really helpful. Also in the comments, if something does resonate with you, if you pop that in there as well, if you've got any comments of support for anybody else in the community, that's always really nice to see as well. Okay, so let's make a start. So the very first thing that came through to me this time was, and it came through as a woman's voice saying, "I've finally gotten wise to my mother." So what's coming through for me here is that this person has realised that this other person in their life, in this case someone's mum, has been taking more of their energy than they're able to give for whatever reason. So it might be that this particular person, it doesn't have to be someone's mum, by the way, it could be, you know, a family member, a partner, a friend, a colleague, or just someone that you know. It almost feels like you've been giving that person so much of yourself, and either it's not being reciprocated or it's not being appreciated, and it's almost as if you feel like you're being taken for granted a little bit. And you're starting to sort of recognize this pattern and recognize that this is what you're doing, and what this other person is doing as well is taking, not giving much else in return. And you're just starting to see things that maybe you weren't aware of before. So I don't know whether you're getting more in touch with how something's making you feel, or whether you're starting to notice maybe red flags, that sort of thing. The word that came through associated with this particular part of it was it was just a very clear word in my head, and it was the word ruminations. So I get the feeling that now you've gotten wise to whoever it is or whatever it is in your life that's doing this, that is taking more energy than you're able to give. You've started doing a real deep dive into looking into why that might be. So I'm getting the feeling that someone in this collective might be maybe looking into something like narcissistic tendencies, personality disorders, that sort of thing, or something along the same sort of vein as that. And although that has been really helpful to recognize certain patterns and behaviors that might be present, and has made you realize, like, yeah, that would explain this, and that would explain why I'm feeling like this, and why that other person might be doing this. What is happening now, and is the message that I'm sort of being asked to say, just calm down with this a little bit, is that you're really ruminating on it. You're ruminating on past events and past circumstances, and going over and over things on your head, diving down rabbit holes, doing research, and the message that's coming through, the advice that's coming through, is to don't go too far with that, because the fear is there then that you could get into something like a bit of a victim mentality, you know, and maybe like a bit of a shame spiral. It might make you start to not feel too good about how things have panned out. The key thing is to recognize what's happening, and just be aware of it at this stage, and maybe start to pull some of that energy back into yourself, and not give quite as much as you have been doing. Learn to say no. And this is something I've been really working on now as well, is, you know, before making a response to something, when someone asks something of you, really just sit in stillness for a moment and feeling the options out in your body. So, you know, imagine yourself saying yes to that particular circumstance and feeling how that feels, and then imagine saying no. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, the more I'm tuning into that, it's a very sort of visceral response when it's a no, and it's a very excitable yes when it's a yes. So it's very clear. Now, that is a skill that, you know, it takes time to learn sometimes, because for a lot of us, we've had our intuition kind of knocked out of us by societal expectations, by, you know, input from others, not being fully in control of our own decisions in life. Let me know if that resonates, because it's certainly something that's resonating for me. Okay, so that's the advice there, is not to ruminate too much on those things. Learn from it, use what you've learned to move forwards. Excuse me. Now, the next thing that came through was quite exciting, and it was an image. So it was an open doorway. So from where I was standing, I couldn't see what was behind me or what the circumstance was, but I could see an open door, and beyond that door was the most beautiful garden. You know, think along the lines of the Garden of Eden sort of thing, you know, with beautiful flowers, butterflies, the sun was shining, and just the bird song. It just all really looked so idyllic. And that door is open, and whatever that situation is, it's there and it's waiting. But there's fear that's stopping you from stepping through into it, even though you know that whatever is on the other side of that door is beautiful. The reason there's fear around it is because whatever's behind you isn't actually that bad. You know, it might be a situation that you're in that is comfortable, is safe, but there's just something not quite right about it anymore. Either something's not quite in alignment with who you are anymore. You know, your feelings towards something have changed, but that's what's making this a harder step through. It's not the fact that whatever situation you're in is absolutely terrible. You know, you're not in something that you're fearing for your life, or, you know, is so unbearable that you have to step through. And that's what's making this decision harder. I think if it was something that was awful that's behind you, to step through that doorway would feel a welcome relief. But I think the message that's trying to come through, what it's trying to say, is that there is more potential with a new situation that is there and available to you. It's just taking those steps to move through into it. Now, the word that came alongside that was the word Sedona, and that came through really strongly, like similar to the ruminations word. It was just the word Sedona. And I'm going to admit I had to look this up, because the only thing I know about Sedona is that it's a place. I didn't even know where it was or anything, so I'm really sorry about that. You know, please, yeah. Oh, what's the word? Sorry, I get a bit stuck sometimes. Please forgive, that's it. Please forgive my ignorance on these things sometimes. So anyway, Sedona, and this is what came up just as my Google AI search, but I didn't need to look any further than this, because as soon as I read it, I knew what it was that was what needed to be said. Okay, so it said, known for its red rock formations and spiritual energy. That's the first thing that came through. The name is associated with the town's natural beauty and mystical atmosphere, including its reputation for spiritual vortexes. Now, it was just lining up perfectly then with that door image for me. So whoever I'm speaking to now, I get the feeling that you've been doing some sort of spiritual work, some sort of healing work. And if not on a spiritual sort of vein, then perhaps more sort of self-help type of thing. Perhaps you've been doing something like journaling, or even just taking a real deep dive into how you work things, just getting more of an awareness. And I think it's coming back to that realization about where you've been putting your energy out and not feeling it back, you know, what we talked about at the beginning of this. So I think that has opened up this self-help sort of journey for you, or spiritual journey, whichever one it is that you're going down. So yeah, that vortex stepping into and stepping through that open door, it's really exciting. But then there's also, I feel like there's a voice behind me that's saying, but you've got to show some responsibility. So it's almost as if whatever you would be moving into through by going through this door and following, you know, this vortex, it would be seen by other people to be irresponsible, perhaps. Or, you know, against the societal norm, against what would be expected of us, maybe even against our own sort of beliefs around these things, like, oh gosh, if I'd go and do that now, it's irresponsible to leave this situation as it is, when this situation actually isn't that bad. It's warm and it's safe and it's in my comfort zone. And therein lies the problem. I think that sometimes you need to step out of that comfort zone, because there is so much more that's available to you. Okay. The next messages that came through, I think, are more to do with what is going to happen as this develops further. So the phrase that came through, and it was a voice, was this one. It was a young woman's voice that was saying it. And by the way, when I say this about things, it doesn't mean that you have to resonate as being that young woman. This is just how the messages come through to me, so this can, you know, apply to anybody who's watching these videos or whatever. So the voice that came through said, your love's being sent out. And I feel like that's the result of having pulled the energy back into yourself and pulling that love back into yourself. So what happens when you do that is it naturally radiates back out. You don't have to force it out. You don't have to overly give your energy to give that love in the way that we were talking about at the beginning of this reading. The more you pull your energy in and have that self-love, you know, and that's what all of this spiritual and self-help work is sort of helping you with. I think it's helping you to pull that love back into yourself, really feel it, and in that way, it's a bit like the law of attraction sort of thing. What it is that you're feeling for yourself emanates out to others, and the other people can feel it then, whatever situation that might be that you're in, you know, in your career, in your love relationships, in your family and friend relationships. There was another little thing alongside of that, of not wanting to be forgotten. So I think as you step through into whatever this new chapter is going to be, there's a fear of being forgotten from something in your past. So whether that be a person, a place, you know, almost as if you don't want the energy that you've put into that thing that you're stepping away from to be forgotten. And the message that's coming through loud and clear for that is that it won't. And not by the people that it's meant something to. Even though it might not have seemed like it was appreciated at the time, it is. And the people who really are on your side and support you will always support you with whatever it is that you're moving forward with. The people that don't, you may start to find that they naturally start to fall away as you bring that energy back into yourself and that love back into yourself. The people who aren't feeling like they're gaining anymore, and are people who haven't been overly giving to you either, will start to fall away. And sometimes that can feel really hard. Sometimes feels like you're losing a bit of yourself. It can be quite lonely sometimes. But what I do want to say is that the more you do that, the more you attract the sort of people who appreciate that you've got to give and are able to reciprocate it as well. Oh, that's quite a big one, isn't it? Sorry. I just want to say as well that nothing that I say in any of the readings that I give are meant as total advice, like this is what you should do. It's more that if you already know, and I'm just confirming something that you already know, or that you resonate with it or you don't, whichever way will help you to know which way it is that you need to go. I think whenever I talk about these sort of things and about tarot and things like that with people who aren't into this sort of thing, and they're just like, oh, it's just a lot of hokey pokey, you know, nonsense, I always just say, as a bare minimum, what it's helping you to do is tap into your own intuition. And that's what it is. So if for example, in tarot, if a card that's drawn, you resonate with it, then that's your intuition telling you that that's right. If you don't resonate with it, then your intuition is telling you, yeah, that's not right. That's not what I'm feeling at the moment. So, you know, even if that's all it is for people, then it's always a fantastic tool. Of course, I think there's a lot more to it than that, as I'm sure you do as well. Okay. So the next thing that came through was so lovely to hear, and I'm going to try and recreate it because it was a voice, and I also got an image of what the person looked like. And again, this doesn't mean that this is only for the women out there, because this person was a woman. It was a woman with lovely big red hair, and she was going like this. She was going, "Oh, get me!" I don't know if that phrase is used outside of the north of England. Please tell me in the comments if it is or not. But to me, "Oh, get me!" It's a celebration of something that you achieved. So it's like, "Oh, look at what I've done! It's so good." And the way that she's saying it is not in a big-headed way. It's in a way like she's surprised with herself. She's surprised by the results that she's got from something. So for me, it almost feels like this is the person who has stepped through this door, has given something a try, and has been like, "Oh my God, the results are actually really good." So this is all about those feedback loops. So if what you're putting out is then giving you feedback that's making you feel good, you're more likely to put the same thing out again. So you get these, you know, these lovely cycles then. And it brings me back to a Bible verse, which is, it's a bit of a cliche one, but I think it's great. It's, "Judge the tree by the fruit that it bears." So if what you're doing is bearing you good fruit, keep doing it, you know, and really celebrate that success. That's what the woman in this image was doing in my head. She was celebrating that success. She was letting herself get excited about it. And it was just really lovely to see. Now, the little phrase that came alongside of that particular image was, "There's nothing dramatic about it." And it's taken me a little bit to sort of figure out what that means. And for me, the interpretation of that is that whatever it is that she's doing, it's not a massive change that she's made. It's something that she's just testing the water with a little bit. So whether that's, you know, meeting up with a new group of people, trying something new, maybe getting into a new, maybe she started studying, trying something new career-wise perhaps, but she's just tested the waters and got really good feedback from it, and now she's wanting to do it more. So I get the feeling that there are some people in this collective that are either on the verge of doing that or have just started doing that and are getting those same sort of results back. So if that's you, brilliant. I'm really looking forward to hearing all about it. Please tell me all about it in the comments. That'd be great. But yeah, there's nothing dramatic about it. It's not a big, massive lifestyle change. It's just testing the waters a little bit. Okay. I also get the impression that whoever this is going to resonate with will know exactly what I'm talking about, and it will just instantly be like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, that's it." So if that's the case, fab. If it's not, it might be that you're on the verge of it, but it also might be that that's not for you, that message. If it is for you, you'll know it. Okay. Now, the messages then took a little bit of a turn, because I feel like the start of this reading, and this is what I meant when I said right at the beginning that things didn't seem to come through in any sort of order back then, you know, when I got these messages come through, and I've had to sort of unpick them, but I've stuck with it and I've gone through them in the order that they were given to me. So I hope that helps whoever this message is for to resonate with it. But for me, this next little bit that I'm going to talk about feels like it's in the past. And it also feels a lot heavier than what I've just been talking about. So I do apologise for that, but you know, sometimes these messages need to come through. So I got the image of a man playing cards, and he's looking at his hand of cards, and he's saying, "Oh, that's a bit of a crap hand." He's not saying it, of course, because then you'd spoil your chances against the other players in cards, but he's thinking it. That's what he's thinking. I've been dealt I've been dealt a rubbish set of cards here. And then alongside that, I got the phrase, a lot of offs and downs. And when I first heard that one come through, I thought, oh, I must have misheard that. It's the saying is a lot of ups and downs, with the ups come the downs. But no, when I tried to think about it in that way, the message was coming through, no, it's a lot of offs and downs. So I get the impression that the hand of cards that you've been dealt has included a lot of off periods and a lot of down periods, and maybe not a right lot in between. So maybe not too many highs just recently, or it just feels to have been bad luck after bad luck after bad luck. And I don't know whether that's just in a more recent history, or whether that's a much longer term thing, perhaps even being dealt a bit of a rubbish hand when it comes to life. But the advice that then came through about that was about not trying to force anything, because I got another snippet of conversation, and this time it was almost like a bit of a sleazy salesman type of vibe coming through, and this voice was saying, but it's faster this way. This is the way you want to do things, because this is what works. And something about it just feels off, a lot of offs and downs. So I almost get the impression that either yourself or you've been guided this way is to try and sort of like find quick fixes to things, or push for things that aren't meant for you. And that's why things have felt off. So when something feels off, it means that it's out of alignment. It's not for you. And that might be because outside influence has helped you make decisions about things, perhaps, or, not quite being on side. Those down periods might have meant that you've tried to make decisions through fear, from trying to get out of a situation because it's something that is not good that you're in. The thing is, when decisions are made through that desperation and that fear, they're not always the right decisions, and they quite often come from here and from the ego, rather than from the heart space and the soul. So the advice here is that you really need to just allow flow to happen a little bit more. So to just go with the flow. If I had my tarot cards out with me now and I drew a card, I would imagine that we'd get the Wheel of Fortune with this one. So it's about taking life as it comes and responding as it comes. So not reacting out of that state of fear, rather really taking the time to sit and get into your body. For those of you who meditate, this is a really good thing to do during meditation, is to ask that question. It's like, is this thing that I'm now moving towards right for me? And the more you do this, the more you lean into your intuition, the easier it gets. I think, like I said before, we have sort of been molded by our surroundings a lot of the time, our background, our upbringing, other people's influences, societal expectations, and a lot of it is all about striving and working hard to get what you want, and you're successful if you're doing this and this, and that's not right for everybody. People's measure of success is always is different. It's different for everyone, and so it should be. But in societal expectations, success is your stereotypical good career, good, wealth, and all of this moving forwards, progressing in life. But that's when things can feel off, if those are the things you've pushed for and they're actually out of alignment. Let me just try and get back to the point I was trying to make. I've gone off a bit of a tangent there. So when you're wanting to know about which way to go forwards, get into the habit of really sitting with yourself, maybe getting into meditation if you can. If you struggle with meditation, or it's something that you're not used to, just being on your own in a quiet room, turn your phone off or put it somewhere else. I find it easy to journal about these things. I ask myself the question in writing, and I tend to find that I get the response. It sort of intuitively comes without much thought. It comes from in here. So that's a good way to do it. Again, if you're new to this, trust in your intuition. Start small. Start with small decisions like, oh, how do I feel about going to a cafe for breakfast this morning? And and you'll get like an excited, well, this is how I get it anyway, and I'm hoping that if people resonate with this, please, pop something in the comments if you do. That for me, if it's a yes, I get a very excitable, enthusiastic, oh yeah, that's something I really want to do. And I quite often make giddy little noises, and that's when people really know that I'm enthusiastic about something. I've had it in work before when a manager's asked me if about a certain little project that's starting, and I've gone, oh yeah, and she chose me to do the project because I was the only one that made a funny little noise like that. It was just very obvious to her that it was something that I was excited about. So that's how it shows for me as a yes. As a no, for me, it's an all over body, visceral no feeling, and I can feel it. I can feel my heart sink. I can feel it in my stomach. So I think the advice here is that's something that would be really helpful to start really getting to know yourself more with, and to trust yourself with those decisions, especially if you're someone that outsources your decisions to other people or has to get lots of advice from other people before you make a decision. This is a really sort of simple tool that you can start practicing on a small basis, and then it gets easier to make those big decisions as well once you start really leaning into it. Okay, so quite a lot going on there today. I'm really sorry that it's been a little bit all over the place, but that's everything that came through for me. As I've kept saying throughout the message, please do leave a comment if anything's resonated with you in there, or if you have any other sort of interpretations of the things that have come through for me, and how they've worked out for you, how you see things. That's ace as well. But yeah, and I'm going to say what all YouTubers say, please like and subscribe, because that helps to get this message out to more people, and the more people we can help to, help find their authenticity, find messages that work for them, the better. So yeah, thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.